What's up, everyone? My name's Kevin. This is Project X Talk, and today I'm bringing you a review of Super Perils of Baking, the latest game from Lily Mo Games. I want to say thank you to Lily Mo and Lambsmith PR for providing this code for review. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out Super Perils of Baking. But without further ado, let's talk about Super Perils of Baking. If you're unfamiliar with Lily Mo, their previous work includes Twin Breaker and Habroxia 2. But this might be their most ambitious game yet. Yes, the game is a remake of their very first game, but for those unfamiliar, Super Perils of Baking is a 2D platformer in the vein of Super Mario Bros. And it's very reminiscent of a game you would play on the NES or SNES era. And I mean that as a compliment. The game's pixel art style is absolutely gorgeous, and I love how hard the game commits to its theme. Every single enemy is some form of food, so instead of Goombas and turtles, the game's going to have you bouncing on the heads of cookies, candy snails, and avoiding flaming marshmallows. Instead of coins, you're going to be collecting cookies, you'll be opening ovens and collecting donuts, and there are so many more endearing characteristics of this game. It really does bleed charm. Apart from the aesthetic, the music throughout the game is an absolute delight, has some very catchy electronic beats, and I absolutely loved listening to this with my headphones while playing the game. But let's talk about the actual story and gameplay of Super Perils of Baking. The game immediately throws you into the game overworld and kind of looks like a Candyland style board game, but again, that adds to the charm. You're put into the role of a baker who comes from a family of bakers, a very prestigious line of the culinary world. His brother, however, has been corrupted by an evil cookbook that he found in his school's basement. So you set out to stop him and rescue your brother from this dark magic. The story is told in a very unique way. So each level before you begin it will actually give you basically a storybook page. So as you progress, you're going to get another page, and that is how the story is told. Diving into each level, it's a classic 3D platformer at its very best. The gameplay here is tight, with you needing to nail the timing of jumps and button presses. Each level has secret areas for you to find, along with collectibles to get. Hidden across all levels are the letters BAKE, or Bake. Apart from looking out for these collectibles and secrets, you'll be trying to kill enemies in certain ways for achievements and or kill enemies you haven't killed before in order to fill your recipe book. The recipe book gives you information about the enemies in the world, one of my favorite being the Cookie Chad, who is basically a buff gym lad cookie. Throughout the level, you're able to collect donuts and popcorn in order to increase the number of hits you're able to take, kind of like Super Mario getting mushrooms. But once you've collected enough, you're going to get a chef's hat, and that allows you to shoot whisks at enemies. This is unfortunately where one of my criticisms of the game comes into play. In order to shoot the whisks on Xbox, you have to hit the X button. However, the X button is also the sprint button. So I was constantly finding myself shooting and killing enemies that I might need to jump on in order to get across a gap or reach an area. It was very frustrating. I wish I could have remapped it. If you could, I certainly couldn't find the option, but that is one of my only critiques of this game. I love the variety of levels throughout Super Perils of Baking. The game does a fantastic job making each level feel unique, especially when they mix up the style of the level. In addition to the classic 2D platforming levels, you're going to find Donkey Kong inspired minecart levels, which are some of my favorite in the game. You'll find levels where you hold onto a balloon and navigate while you're floating through midair, kind of Mary Poppins style. And of course, you have the classic underwater levels, which, true to form, are my least favorite in the game, but I just don't like the feeling of underwater levels in platformers. They're not bad by any means, they're good levels, but in terms of comparison to the rest of the game, these ones were a little lackluster for me. I will say, do not be fooled by this game's cuteness. The game can be very difficult, especially as you get into the later levels or the secret levels. I went into the game thinking about getting the 100% of the achievements or the platinum if you're on PlayStation, and it quickly became apparent to me that I do not possess the skill in order to do that. The difficulty, while present, however, is fair. Yes, it might take you a few runs to figure out the timing, but it isn't worse than anything you'd find in a Crash Bandicoot game. Super Perils of Baking has a ton of replayability, not only for the collectibles, but for time trials that are present in each level, challenge you to beat a level in under a certain time. Honestly, for $10, The amount of content in this game is super surprising, and I consider it an absolute steal at that price tag. I thoroughly enjoyed the hours I put into this game, and I would highly recommend picking it up, especially if you're a fan of old school 2D platformers, because this is a love letter to you. Well, guys, that's it. Those are my thoughts on Super Perils of Baking. Again, thank you, Lily Mo, so much for the review code, and thank you all for watching. Check out the game if you like what you saw on the screen, if you like what you heard. I really did enjoy this game. I was going to pick it up regardless of if I got a review code because I was super excited for it. So I'm really honored that they were able to provide this and that it turns out to be an absolutely fantastic game that I feel confident recommending to everyone listening. So, until next time, I've been Kevin for Project X Talk. I'll see you. Goodbye.